I just got finished watching this live on Instagram, and it was David Ladding. He was preaching in front of a congregation, and what he said just changed my whole perspective. Revelation chapter 5 verse 11 says, "And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beast and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000s, and thousands of thousands." David was basically saying, one day, everyone is going to stand before the throne of God. He said many people on that day are going to approach God, in confidence, not out of pride or anything, but an assurance that they lived their life according to how God called them to live. And then he said there's going to be some that wish that they could have done more. Then he said there's going to be many that wish that they really accepted and chose to follow Jesus. David said that he heard over 1,000 sermons, but only 4 of those stuck with him. And this kind of applies for me too. I've heard so many sermons in church and just everywhere, and different people preaching, but this particular one that David was talking about, this is sticking with me. He said that his sister came up to him and said, "If Jesus came back tomorrow, what would you do?" And David said, "Well, I'll go tell my friends, I'll go do this, I wouldn't care what they think of me, I'll go tell everyone that Jesus is here." His sister looked at him and said, "Well, David, it will be too late by then. Why not have that same mentality now? Tell people about Jesus now." Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6 verse 21, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." We can't be conformed to this world because our hearts are not supposed to be focused on this world that is perishing. Our hearts and our focus is supposed to be on Jesus, on God. It's going to be a terrible day for people, a lot of people on that day when they stand before the Lord. It's going to be too late when they realize that they've been worshiping these false idols and they didn't open their hearts to Jesus. And on that day, a lot of people will be relying on their own works of their own hands, the crumbling, fleshly, works of their hands rather than the finished work of Jesus Christ on the cross. Every day is going to be a fight. Every day is going to be a challenge. But that's what God has called us to do. He's called us to pick up our cross and to follow Him. It's going to be a fight every single day, picking up our cross and following Jesus. But Jesus says that the road to heaven is narrow and few people find it. We're called to go out into the world and make disciples. We're called to spread the gospel. He told Simon and Andrew when they got off the boat, "Follow me and you will become fishers of men." It's going to be a fight and it's going to be a struggle at the end of the day, every single day. That's what Christ called us to do, to live for Him, but it's all going to be worth it in the end. You never know. You could be the only person in that person's life to introduce them to Jesus. You have to make that decision. God is calling you to go for Him. Who cares what people think? Because at the end of the day, every knee will bow and tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord.